So what can't the T2 ISO trainer do? Hi, I'm Jonathan Pritchett with Theology, Geek, Fitness, and in this video, I'm going to try to wrap up my discussions on the T2 ISO trainer. I've spread this out over several videos because the T2 ISO trainer can do any number of things and pretty much do them very well. And so I've want to cover some things that I haven't been able to cover in prior videos, plus some things that I've discovered it can do that it didn't necessarily advertise for. But to start with something that it did advertise it can do, it's purported to be able to simulate wave training and battle rope training. And so I wanted to try that out. I do, for full disclosure, own the inertia wave, and I had a battle rope, then I sold it. And then Five Below was selling battle ropes for $15 for, a 30-foot battle rope. So I bought it. Not as expensive, but it's a pretty decent battle rope. I don't really use it a whole lot because I actually prefer the inertia wave over battle ropes. I have not done a full review over the inertia wave yet, and I still intend to. So my comments about it in comparison to the T2 ISO trainer needs to be understood within the context of talking about the T2 ISO trainer and not taken as a review or any statement of the inertia wave on its own merits. That's going to be in a future video. But as far as the wave training and battle rope simulations, Coach Greg in his videos, when he's talking about food, if you can find a healthier version of the foods you like that's 80% as good, you should go for it. So does this simulate battle ropes and the inertia wave for wave training as good as, at least 80% of it? The answer is yes and no, depending on what movement pattern you're doing. If you're doing the standard inertia wave pattern, it's interesting. The T2 ISO trainer simulates that identically. I mean, it feels the same, and it requires the bungee cord and the housing unit. Without the housing unit, it doesn't have that feel. So I guess it's the weight of the housing unit at the end of the bungee cord that makes this function work. But you can't bypass it for that and get the same effect. So I thought that was interesting. Really well thought out, well put together device. So yeah, you can simulate it that way. And alternating movement patterns, yeah, it's not quite as good, but if that's what all you had, yeah, it does that pretty good. The oscillating movement pattern that you can do with the inertia wave, I just felt weird doing it with the T2 ISO trainer. It didn't have the same feel because of the way that you're moving just the strap portion and not necessarily in unison with the bungee. With the inertia wave, you have, two separate things. So it's more smooth when doing that movement pattern. But I would say yes and no. 80% is good or better on some movements, not as good on others. But if you had the T2 ISO trainer, do you need to get the inertia wave? It depends on if you want to really get into inertia wave training. The inertia wave is an awesome device, but for full disclosure, had I gotten the T2 ISO trainer first, I probably wouldn't have gotten the inertia wave because, I'm not using the inertia wave as my main mode of cardio or exercise in general. So it's good enough for what I do, though I do a lot more with the inertia wave, and since I have it, I'll probably continue to use it unless I decide to offload it later. But I really do like the inertia wave. It's a good product, and I'll cover that in more detail. But if you're just looking for something to get you some good cardio and some good muscle burn, simulating some of the movement patterns that the T2 ISO trainer can simulate better than 80%, so, yeah, it's fantastic at it, at least in my opinion. So I like it for that. It does, as advertised, it doesn't capture it quite as well on some of the movement patterns, but on others it's perfectly acceptable as a substitute. So there you go. I also decided that, I wonder if I can just run the handle strap and then the range of motion handle, the one that attaches to it, through my ceiling mounts, or wrap it around a tree branch a number of times and space it out to where I can do pull-ups and maybe even dips. And sure enough, it was able to do pull-ups and dips. So I started with pull-ups, and I was like, hey, yeah, this works just fine. It's almost like using the Angles 90 grips. I don't have those. I have knockoff versions of that because they're less expensive, and I like to do, you know, pull-up movements with that. It works just as well as that does for pull-ups. And when you have those grips along with Angles 90 sling trainer, you can do dips. I thought, well, can I do dips with that? It turns out you can, except I had to move my plyo box because, you know, at 5'8", I'm not the tallest man in the world, and to get up to get into position to do the dips, because you can't make the strap long enough from this handle to this handle, running it through the ceiling mounts or even around a tree branch or a pull-up bar or something. This strap here is just not long enough to lower these down quite as long. So, but as far as being able to do it, as you can see, you can get dips off of this thing. So I thought that was pretty awesome, that this can function in that way, and it didn't advertise for it. And I weigh about 160 pounds, and there's no stress whatsoever on either the handles or the cam buckles or anything. I mean, these things hold up like champs for everything. You know, it's like gym rings. You know, they use cam buckles. The Angles 90 sling trainer, all suspension trainers pretty much have a cam buckle somewhere to adjust the lengths of the straps. So as far as suspending my full body weight, which, as we discussed last week in the Liebert Hit video, it says don't do that. If this thing can do it, I don't know why that Liebert can't. But anyway, it's a different issue. But this thing holds fine doing just that. So there you go. Now, I also have another device that has the name ISO Trainer. It's the WorldFit ISO Trainer, and it's an isometric thing. And I was thinking to myself, well, I like to do isometrics every now and then. That's why I bought the thing in the first place. I wonder if, you know, running this strap through this handle, bypassing the housing unit and all that, and just doing strict isometrics with it, can it be done? How well does it work? And it works just exactly like the WorldFit Trainer. Now, with the WorldFit Trainer, because the straps are so long, you can do isometrics, you know, holding things over your head, whereas this is nowhere near long enough. And even if you wanted to do like an isometric hold on like a bicep curl, I had to sit down with the handles from the T2 ISO Trainer in order to do that. So but as far as, like, you know, simulating a row for isometrics or other exercises like that, chest press, same thing. Really, it's the same thing. So, and that WorldFit ISO Trainer is a great device for isometrics. I haven't done a review on that. Maybe I will in the future. But, you know, if you're not big in the isometrics anyway, T2 ISO Trainer can cover it. So, this piece of kit really does a whole lot of different things. It's like a, you know, it has the instructions to set it up, you know, whether you set it up with or without the bungee, you know, mounting it on a ceiling, using the anchor strap to mount it to other things. I use the anchor strap for my ceiling mounts. I use the anchor strap to anchor it below my feet, things like that, you know. But really, when you look at this, and kind of my first impression video too, it's like a bag of a bunch of little pieces, but when you put it together and you experiment with it, you see the genius that they put in it for what they advertise it can do, but you also look at it as like a grab bag of different things that you can also put together in various different ways to do even more than what it's advertised. And I think it does it well. So suspension training, check, does that really good. The isokinetic movements, which is kind of its main feature there, that's just awesome. And of course, going from suspension into the isokinetics is great. The isoelastic, which is kind of simulating resistance band training, and then of course going into the Isokinetics can do that just as it advertises. It's comparable to resistance band trainings, of course. Again, like with suspension training, there's no deadlift movement, so resistance bands are still necessary if you like to do that exercise, or you do it in the gym with a bar and plates or whatever. But it does those things. The wave training battle ropes, asterisk there. Some movements, yes. Other movements, but if you're not really into that anyway, but it's nice to have, and you'll do it on occasion for some good cardio. What movements it does do well, it does good enough. And some of them are identical, but some of the movements are good enough. And some of them just don't do because they're really not as good. So there's that. It doesn't even advertise that you can do pull-ups and dips with it, but you can find a way. So with that, I give it a high mark. Yes, that's all good. Isometrics, just standard isometrics, bypassing the housing unit and not doing the varied angle type of isometrics like you could do with holding suspension trainer movements. Yeah, just using it like that other ISO trainer device from WorldFit, within the range that the strap allows, does it just fine. So that's a lot. And then of course you can do various training methods with it, training styles with it. You can do HIIT training if you want to do that, or circuit training, or Tabata, or whatever you want to do with it. You can incorporate all of those styles with it. Yeah, it advertises some other things. You can do like MMA style training with it, using the bungee and the isokinetic mechanism and the housing unit going from one side to the other. Yeah, it does all of these things. And it does it all really well. And you play with it long enough and you keep finding new things that you can do with it, as I have done. Now, I have actually talked to a couple of guys from the company and made feature requests. Some of them they've already considered. Some of them they're thinking about incorporating. So that's good news, because there's still plenty of room left in this bag. One of the things that I've recommended, and it seems like they're on that, is bungees that are stronger than this and not quite as strong as this, and then perhaps even bungees at different lengths, because if you're in a compact space, you might have to double this over, and of course that makes it harder, more resistance, and that might not be what you want. So I think having a weaker bungee and a stronger one, probably more important than shorter length ones. And if you had a weaker one that you doubled over, you might just be able to get on with that. But they're looking into that, which is a good thing. I have also been told that they're looking into different handles. I kind of like these handles the way they are, but they're looking at some better, more traditional, I should say, handles with the straps like this. So probably kind of a firmer rubber handle or something, but operates the same way that you run one strap and then attach it to the other. So that would be helpful. But my request on that, even more so than different handles, is to be able to do more, have the strap that's attached to the one handle a lot longer. And of course that's going to leave a lot of strap dangling, but if they make the other attachment the same way, that has this thing where you can bunch it up just like you would gym rings, I don't see the issue. Now you can already buy additional anchor straps, but you should be able to also, in my opinion, buy an additional, what they call the range of motion handle, the one that doesn't have the long strap, the one that you attach the other handle to. I think you should be able to get a couple of extra of these as well, because what I would want is, with the anchor strap, be able to attach this handle to the anchor strap, and then be able to have another anchor strap and another handle. And that way, like if you're on a tree branch, instead of trying to finagle this whole thing and get it separated out and then trying to adjust to make sure that the two handles are even, you can just hang these separately off of a branch or something, the anchor strap. And just do pull-ups that way. And maybe other people would prefer the different handles for that, but yeah, being able to buy that, and even making these anchor straps much longer in length, I've requested, so you can do dips without having to climb up on a plyo box to do dips. And having two separate things as opposed to trying to do what I've done, you know, which is far easier using the ceiling mounts than it is like a branch, but, you know, doing it that way. So all in all, there's plenty of room in the bag for more goodness that they could come out with. I'm looking forward to see what different add-ons they have and what you can do with all of that. So I really do love the T2 ISO trainer. It really covers a whole lot of ground for a home gym piece of equipment. So there you go. I hope you found this video and the whole series on the T2 ISO trainer helpful. If you liked the video, please click the like button. If you didn't like it, click the dislike button. Don't care either way. If you want to support what we're doing at Theology Geek Fitness, you can become a patron at patreon.com/theologygeekfitness. And you can get a lot of bonus content, full exercises using the kinds of equipment that I feature on this channel. So check that out, and I really appreciate it, just like I appreciate you watching this video, and we will see you in the next one. God bless.